Hey guys, have you seen the Montreal Canadiens play lately? Yeah, me neither. I mean, I don't know what to say anymore. Welcome, guys, back once again to another beautiful episode of Shooting the Shit. I know that we've been off for the last 2 weeks, and I deeply apologize, and I thank you guys for your patience. Things have been hectic around the house, but as you all know, I'm your host. I'm Landsman, if you haven't forgotten already. And over on my other end is my trusted partner in crime, my buddy for this adventure. It's Z. What's going on?
Davey, I missed you, man. How are you?
I missed you too. Good and bad, and twirling it all around, just like the Habs. Holy
God,
shit!
I see those two jerseys behind you. You might as well just have the Flames one completely covering the Habs one because that's what it's been like in this season series. So absolute domination by Calgary over Montreal this year.
I think we can safely say that Calgary has put the fire on Montreal, and nobody
Dad
put it
joke.
out.
Dad joke. You're ready. You're ready. You're doing well with the dad jokes, Davey.
Thank you. Years of practice with no kids to prove for it. What can I say? Uh yeah. We were just talking about it just in prepping for this episode, and the Habs are coming off back-to-back losses to the Calgary Flames. These are crucial games that they had to win. And right now they're going into the season finale against the Flames tomorrow night on Monday. Well, by now it's going to be tonight. And, they've won two and they've lost the other six. And the other six they've all lost in regulation. So only 4 points out of a possible, let's do the math there, 16. It's not looking good. And, we were saying, what were you saying? What were the three words? Do or die, right?
Do or die game. I mean, certainly, we were talking about this before we got on. I guess the Habs are 2 points up on the Calgary Flames. They have a game in hand. We won't even talk about the Canucks right now because the Canucks, I think, are only 6 points back. They have 5 games in hand because of their COVID break. Now, they're going to have a completely compressed schedule, and who knows what's going to happen there. They need to keep winning. But as far as Calgary and Montreal, basically, Montreal had to win one of these 3 games to almost really like put a significant stake through the heart of the Flames playoff chances. So, and they haven't. They're 0-2 out of these 3 games. And if you look at they played them twice last week. They split it 1-1. But now you're looking at basically the season series is they're 2-6, as you mentioned. So, I mean, they have to win just for the breathability of the playoff spot because we were talking. The Habs have basically now gone 3-8 in the last 11 games.
Correct. Yep. 3-8 in the last 11. I mean,
and it's a complete collapse. And I mean, out of those 8 games, 5 of them were against Calgary. And we just talked about Calgary has been their boogeyman the whole season. I mean, the same way Montreal's completely dominated Vancouver, for example, right? 6-0-3 against Vancouver, 15 out of 18 points against the Canucks. Calgary has done the same thing to Montreal, more so than any other team, including the Oilers, who the Habs actually have a good record against. Probably another team they actually are quite successful against. The Leafs, who they've played fairly evenly this year, although they've lost a couple extra games in overtime. And the Jets have dominated the Habs, but the Habs have played the Jets actually much better 5-on-5 than they have the Flames. So it's just, this is the way this season has worked. It's essentially not a season that we would typically be talking about, you and I, while we're sitting at the bar having a brew. This is really, it's like baseball. It's like winning series against these teams that you're only playing 6 other teams. And can you win the season series with these teams? If you do, you will make the playoffs. If you don't, if you lose more against, if you lose more of these series than you win, you'll probably miss the playoffs. So right now the Habs are they're not beating the Flames in the season series. They have 4 games remaining against Toronto Maple Leafs. Those are the 4 games that actually might make or break the Habs season in reality, depending on how the Canucks and the Flames do away from playing Montreal. I think they have 1 more game against the Oilers. They have 1 more game against the Senators and potentially 2 more games against the Jets. I can't remember the exact schedule. We can look at it later.
Talking about the Habs now, or?
Yeah, the Habs. And I mean, those 4. I know for sure they have 4 games remaining against the Leafs. And to me, they've actually played the Leafs fairly well overall this year. and they gotta get W's. They have to get W's. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's just it's a question of points, and right now the points are few and far between with the Habs. They've just been it's been hard and painful to watch. I mean, I haven't recounted all the games. I've been either working or personal matters, but right now it just seems that like it's not the Habs that started the year red hot. It's that team has fizzled. There could be many attributing factors to this. I mean, one of them that you and I talked about, and many people will talk about it, is the injuries. I mean, you've got the injuries that are quite substantial. You have Carey Price, number one goaltender of our team, and possibly the league, to many critics' approval or disapproval. That's there to judge. But you also have our heart and soul, like Brendan Gallagher. That, I think, has been the hugest dagger in our heart right now this year. We don't know when he's going to come back. He's nursing his broken thumb. The good news is he doesn't need surgery, so if we do go to the postseason, likely he's to return. But it doesn't look like it's likely he's going to come back before the end of this year.
Yeah, so Gallagher, and we had talked about this, and I'm just trying to quickly look up a tweet that I retweeted from an analytics account called JF Fresh, who I believe that gentleman runs Top Down Hockey, which is an advanced analytics site. But he posted a interesting breakdown of Gallagher when Gallagher got hurt, and saying that Gallagher would be a huge loss potentially for the Habs. I just want to read the statistics because I think we've sung Gallagher's praises all year because we're Habs fans and we appreciate Gallagher and what he brings to the table. But I don't think a lot of fans realize how good he is relative to the rest of the league. He is one of the best right wingers in the NHL. He's a top 10 right winger in the NHL. And at 5-on-5, he's one of the top 5 wingers in the NHL. Here are the statistics to back up that claim. Since 2017-2018, 5-on-5 goals, Gallagher 76, fourth best over the same time frame in the whole NHL. 5-on-5 expected goals scored, 74, first in the NHL over that time frame. 5-on-5 goals per 60 minutes, 1.3, third in the NHL at that point. Expected goals per 36 per 60 minutes, 1.3, first in the NHL at that point. All situations goals, he has 100, which is 23rd. And all situations expected goals, so that includes power plays and different,
special teams, yeah.
107 expected goals in all situations, fourth over that time. So this is the Habs' best player, correct?
Arguably the best, yes, and it has been.
You remove the best player off any team, and they're going to struggle, right? I think for a team that struggles so much to score, to remove that threat of scoring, one of the top scoring threats in the league, at least at 5-on-5, but even in all situations, still 23rd total goals, all situations, right? It's, so much of the Habs depends on him because he's the one that drives that line of Tatar and Danault to be one of the best lines in the NHL, and when he's playing on that line, everyone slots in properly. Armia plays in the role he's supposed to. Anderson plays in the role he's supposed to. Drouin plays in the role he's supposed to. And so on, Lehkonen, and you go down the line, and it threw the Habs completely off balance. And, never mind the intangibles that you just mentioned, the heart and soul, the effort, the probably inspiring, like, I can't imagine what it's like to play with Gallagher. You basically have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, oh man, like I gotta fucking try harder now. Like
I gotta skate faster.
Yeah,
I gotta get in the nitty gritty.
Look at Drouin. Drouin's like, I got more talent in my big toe than this guy has in his whole body, and he's busting his ass. So I just like the loss of Gallagher can't be understated. But what have we talked about all year about the Habs is their depth. Their depth was supposed to be the thing that carried them through.
Yep, that's what the Bergevin and Molson did over the summer. Is they went out and got
it. It hasn't.
It hasn't paid off. Exactly. I mean, there's some bonuses. There's some pros that we can look at in terms of Anderson, Toffoli. Those are pros. Those are definite pros. But you know what? That's not going to help everything move cohesively. And the loss of Gallagher has proven to really hurt the offense. Like their top line that they had just really gone in the groove back. When they put Danault and
they were rolling when he got
Tatar and Danault and Gallagher all together again, and it was working so well. You and I were like, oh my God, this is the Habs that was dominant at the beginning of the year. This was the year that was – the last year was the top line. It was a force to be reckoned with. And then they started falling like dominoes.
Right.
You know, like right now, 2/3 of that line is out for injuries. You know, Tatar just recently got injured.
Oh, that's right.
He's out for a while now. You know, you've got Carey Price out. You've got Brendan Gallagher out. You've got Paul Byron, who was helping that line with the speed factor and like the finding the play. He's out too. You know, it just reminds me of those years, a few years back, when they were talking about man games lost, and then the Habs were in a category of alone by themselves with the amount of man games lost. I don't know.
Man, I gotta tell you, Dave. Like I'm looking at some stats here, and I think we talk about the hot start,
right?
A lot of fans do, and I'm not denying that their recent struggles have been related to injuries. Yes, they have depth, but they've lost a number of guys. Carey Price, they have Allen. Allen's played well, but you can't play Allen every game. Primo came in last night. He didn't look good. Like, it's not the kid's fault they lost, but he didn't look good. You lose a Gallagher, you can't replace a Gallagher. So you're hoping that you get goals by committee. And other than Anderson and Toffoli, no one is scoring. I think, although Suzuki at the beginning of the season looked really good and Kotkaniemi has looked really good in certain games, those kids haven't yet discovered how to finish on a consistent basis, how to score, put up points. They can drive play. Suzuki has been even really good defensively in some games. And Kotkaniemi's really, really kind of driven play in some other games, and his stick handling and his offensive zone presence has been so much better this year, but neither one of them can really finish consistently. And so you're not getting that production out of your center position. Dano was never going to be an offensive producer at center. So you were counting on Kotkaniemi and Suzuki. That was one thing that they counted on that didn't come through. The other thing is they were hoping that Tatar would repeat his offensive success of last season, that Drouin would be more consistent this year, that they'd get goals from Byron and Lehkonen and Armia. Perry's held up his end of the bargain. Anderson's held up his end of the bargain. Toffoli's more than held up his end of the bargain. But they brought in Stahl. That didn't work out. I think, Bergevin saw that kind of benefit of Perry came in and kind of lit a fuse as a veteran. Unfortunately, it looks like Stahl's cooked. I think he's done, and he just doesn't seem – he's either uninterested even in playing for the Habs, or he's just done.
I think so, too. I mean, it started with such promise when Stahl came to Montreal. We were saying, okay, we've got this depth center that might help us, help the young guys, like Suzuki, like Kotkaniemi, roll their game. Because these guys, like we've talked about in numerous episodes, Kotkaniemi is 20. Suzuki is 21. These kids have 3 years and 2 years respectively in the NHL. They needed that guidance of how to play, how to lead, how to find the puck. And so that's when they brought in Stahl. And Stahl came in, and his first game, heroics, he got the overtime winning goal, and everyone's like, oh my God, Bergevin is a genius. Molson is a genius. And then since then, in the 11 games since, he's gotten a goal.
Yeah, he's been terrible. There's no way to slice it. Like, he's been terrible too. He got that goal, but he's been a detriment to the team. Like, you have to look back on it now and be like, they would have been better off just playing Jake Evans over the last 11 games.
100%.
Fourth line center with Lehkonen and Perry, because that line was actually at least creating chances and wasn't giving up goals. Like, look, I was also excited when we got Stahl, because really up until this year, he had been an impactful player in the NHL. Even as his skills declined, he was a positive. He was an above average replacement player. And most of us thought, he's playing on the Sabres. Like, the Sabres affect everybody. Well, hey, man, once the Sabres got rid of Stahl and Hall, they've been winning games now. So maybe those two guys were holding back the Sabres. I don't know. Certainly looks like it. Two veterans who probably lost interest in Buffalo. Maybe they just don't have their game anymore. I think I get why Bergevin gambled on Stahl. I actually don't blame him for that move. There's a lot of things I'm fed up with Bergevin about, but I think going and gambling on Stahl is not one of them. I think the shitty thing is he can't do anything with Stahl right now. Yeah. He can't put him on the taxi squad, because if he puts him on waivers and he clears, the money that Buffalo's holding on their cap transfers to Montreal. Montreal doesn't have the cap space if that happens. And then he can't healthy scratch him right now because there's no one to play. They got Gustafsson and Merrill.
Yeah, I was going to say,
they lost Drouin, they lost Tatar. I mean, I guess the only positive is, Davey, is we might see Caulfield tomorrow.
That would be, hey, you know what? It's been said and speculated for the last couple of weeks, well, this week especially, that this might be the time that Caulfield does come into lineup. It's funny you were mentioning about the Stahl and the Hall deals. Since that deal broke for Boston and Buffalo for Hall going to Boston, every one of the three players traded in that deal, Bjork, Hall, and Curtis Lazar have all produced. Right now, I'm just looking at the numbers because I want to. Hall has 6 points in 7 games with the Bruins. But, I mean, aside from that, Stahl has been inexistent, has not really helped. As you said, was a detriment to our team and the leadership. I mean, like, yeah, sure, he can bring his 1,000-plus career points with us. Great. We'd love that. That is helpful. But unless he puts those points in the net for us, it means fucking like nothing to us.
Yeah, I agree.
And then like during the trade deadline, they put Mete up for waivers, put him on waivers. Then he got claimed and we lost him. I mean, that was not a huge blow. I mean, he's been
playing really well though for Ottawa. I mean, he's not putting up a ton of points and stuff, but he's been really. I mean, he does what Mete does. He drives play.
He's not a point getter, but he's a guy who can lead the back end. And since the trade deadline, the bottom three teams in the playoffs below us, so we're talking about the Senators, we're talking about the Flames, and the Canucks, have all been winning.
Right.
And the top three teams, the Leafs, the Jets, and the Oilers, have all been losing.
Right.
So it's been kind of a very wishy-washy.
So here we go. This is a good transition because I was about to bring up, and I mentioned it earlier, that like this year, it's really about a season series versus the teams. Who do you play? And the reality is that some teams match up better than others. I mean, we beat the Oilers pretty easily. The Oilers
7 games. That's correct.
The Oilers have beat up the Jets, and the Jets have beat up the Habs. So like this is just the way the season goes. I mean, we've beat up the Canucks, but we struggle against the Senators. But the Canucks have absolutely destroyed the Senators. So this is just the way it's been. And I did a little exercise because some people have said like, oh no, the Habs are playing the Leafs. So I looked it up, by the way. They play the Leafs 4 more times.
Yes.
They play the Oilers twice.
The last 2 games of the year to make up for the COVID week.
Right. And then they play the Senators and the Jets 1 more time. Now, everyone's like, oh, man, they're screwed. They're playing the top teams, the Oilers and the Jets and the Leafs. Here's the reality. The teams that give the Habs the most problems are the Flames, who they have 1 more game with, thankfully, and then I need to watch a Flames game again. Daryl Sutter, hockey man, it makes me debate, pouring Tabasco in my eyes. Like, it's just, I'm not sure which is. So, like, but they can't beat the Flames. They're 2-6 against the Flames. Here are some of the numbers, okay? Yes. Their expected goals for percentage on average against the Flames is 43%, okay? Let's just compare that, okay? They're 50% against the Jets and the Leafs this year. This is at 5-on-5. They're 57% against the Sens, even though they struggle against the Sens. They're 57% against the Oilers, and they're 60% their expected goals against the Canucks. So the Flames have by far been the team that have stymied the Habs this year. And I mean, they've outscored them 15-8. Not a single other team, by the way, has outscored the Habs on 5-on-5. I know that the Habs had that 1 game against the Jets, 7-1, that skews it. But the Habs have 17-16 against the Jets 5-on-5, 13-12 against the Sens, 14-8 against the Oilers, 12-11 against the Leafs, goals for, goals against, and then 27-14 against the poor Canucks. So, like, the Flames have really figured out they have the code. The same way the Habs have the code to absolutely own and destroy the Canucks, the Flames have the code against the Habs. And, the Sens, the Jets, and the Leafs, we've had some trouble against those teams because our special teams have really shat the bed against those teams. Just been utterly useless. And that's what's created some of the, wins and loss records where we've struggled to get points against the Sens and we struggled to get points against the Jets. The Leafs I think we have 4 more games. So I'll wait to see with the Leafs because I think we're 2-3-1 against them. Yeah. So, but this is what I'm talking about, man. Like the teams this year, you needed to be 6 different teams to do well. You needed to be adaptable. You needed to be a team that can play against the Flames and a team that can play against the Canucks. And the Habs even though Bergevin is quoted as saying we can play any style. We can play any way, anything they throw at us, I think he said. I can't remember the exact quote. I'm going to look at. It's not the truth there, Marky.
Yeah. Honestly, when I hear that,
c'est pas vrai. Like, can't beat the Flames.
When I hear that line, all I can think about is Billy Madison going, bullshit. That's all I can think about. Because I'm sorry. Like, I mean, the Flames have our number. It's plain and simple. But it's also due to the play of one guy and one guy only, and that is the 6'6" Jacob Markstrom.
Yeah, you know what?
A saving grace for Calgary this year. He is the only reason that they're that close, I think. But
overall, he's been great against the Habs, without a doubt. But, dude, the Flames have outplayed the Habs.
Oh, 100%. No. There's not even a question. There's not a reason, like, I mean, yes, okay, they won some games 2-0, and that was Markstrom. Last night was 5-2. Like, that was the first time that they got 5 goals against the Habs all year.
Yeah.
You know, their top line is 15.
Ironically enough, I was mentioning this to you before we got on. The Habs controlled possession. They controlled the expected goals for percentage yesterday, and they had, I think, one more high danger chance. Markstrom was very good yesterday. Primo wasn't, unfortunately. And then
on the chances.
Special teams again, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's.
I know they got a power play goal, the Habs, but it was at the end of the power play, and it was a broken play, and Calgary scored some power play goals against them, and. You know, basically, Davey, like, if I can transition this conversation to a more larger macro conversation about the Habs, I've been frustrated because it's just more of the same thing, right? When's the last time the Habs were really good? 2016, 2017. They made the playoffs. They won their division. Yeah, they flamed out against the Rangers. That was the first sign of cracks. That was the year that Therrien got fired and Julien came in. But ever since then, dude, it's been a goddamn roller coaster being on this team. You know, from like losing Radulov and Markov and then that really shitty season and trading Sergachev for Drouin and Weber being injured and Price's game disappearing and being one of the worst teams. And we drafted Kotkaniemi, you know, which, you know, we reached for the center, but people were hopeful. And then he came in his rookie year and he looked really good. And we got Domi and the Habs missed the playoffs by 1 point. And holy shit, now we got some young guys and we got Domi and who maybe found his game, and Price kind of and then last year they shot the bed again. They got Sherratt. They slowed down again. They only made the play-in because of COVID. And then in the bubble they were great again. Hey, the bubble, Kotkaniemi looked great. Suzuki looked great.
It's been a fucked up year, man. Like,
oh my God! And then we get to this year and it's like, holy shit, they're the best team in the league. But no, they were just beating the shit out of the Canucks. And then if you take away the Canucks, they've been like wildly mediocre. And I'm like, oh, they're just the same team they've been for the last 5 fucking years. And you know what, Davey? I wouldn't be surprised if they get it to the fucking playoffs and they upset the first team in the first round because Kotkaniemi plays great and Price plays great. And then the fans are like, oh my God, we got something. And then they shit the bed in the second. Like, I'm tired, man. I'm tired of the same old shit. I'm tired. Bergevin's had this team for 10 years now. When is it going to change? I've had enough. I like the things Bergevin's done, but I'm at my limit. I've had enough.
It has not been the hopefulness that we've been anticipating this whole time. I mean, it seems like every year after year, we're not super excited for playoffs time because we're like, are we even going to make it? Or like, what are we going to do in the off season? What's the next move that's going to happen? Is this the year that Bergevin finally gets fired? Is it this year? Is it this year? Honestly, that question has been relaying in my head for the past. Like since maybe like the 16-17 season was a one-off, like for the past 10 years, it's been really like a roller coaster that I don't like. You know, I'm not a big roller coaster guy personally, but I really don't like roller coasters in hockey. And that's been describing the Habs all year.
You know, I look at Bergevin, and he had 2 teams. He had a team he inherited, which had, you know, Price, Subban, Pacioretty, Gallagher. That was the core, and Galchenyuk, and you know, Price was at his, you know, mega power. Subban was at his peak. Pacioretty was scoring 30 goals a year. And David Desharnais was our number 1 center. You know, and they could never – the Habs made the conference finals. They won the division a few times. And he couldn't ever get them over the hump, right? And then the reset happened. The reset, retool, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And they were bad. He drafted Kotkaniemi, and then he traded Pacioretty, got Suzuki Tatar, and – they caught lightning in a bottle kind of in 2018, 2019. They missed the playoffs, but there was some hope there, you know? And then he couldn't get him over the hump again. But why? He should have continued trying to rebuild. I've reached a point where I'm ready for a real rebuild reset. Like, I understand we're kind of locked into Price and Weber because of their contracts, but that's those players can't be traded. Like, they're going to have to live with playing with the Habs until, maybe a scenario could sort out. Play the young guys. Be a rebuilding team. Play Kotkaniemi and Suzuki. Live with their mistakes. Bring Caulfield up. Play Evans. Bring Paling's having a great season. Make sure he's your fourth line center next year. Keep some veterans around. Of course, keep some veterans around. But Romanov's got to play. They should have been playing Mete, and they shouldn't have lost Mete or Juleson this year.
Mm-hmm. And they did easily.
You didn't need Joel Edmondson when you had Sherrod and Weber, and you were bringing in Roman, and you were playing Romanoff anyway, who has that physical element. Like, I got nothing against Joel Edmondson, but you didn't need him. He wasn't the type of player the Habs needed. So these are the things about Bergevin that I've reached my limit. It's mediocrity year in, year out. And I'm sorry I'm ranting here, Davey, but like, I hear some fans being like, well, the Habs weren't expected to win a cup this year. He went on record to say we have very high expectations internally. Now, maybe that's not winning the cup, but I'm pretty damn sure that's not, hey, we're going to fire our coach and be completely mediocre and collapse down the stretch because of injuries and maybe not even make the playoffs. I'm almost 100% sure that's not what he meant by internal high expectations.
I mean, I'm not in the room, but I would totally agree with you.
He set the bar.
Oh, yeah. And like, this was probably the busiest offseason I've seen him in recent years, going out and making so many moves. Like, usually, you get the one or two guys. This year, he went out and he got a plethora of names. When he got – and he wanted to do – his big thing was getting the experience, right? And, yes, I've mentioned the experience factor, but, he went and got Toffoli. He went and got Edmondson. He went and got Perry. He went and got, like, Anderson. The list goes on. And they all have, like, resumes that are pretty good. And some of them have panned out really well. Like, I mean, Toffoli has panned out super well.
Great.
Anderson has panned out super well. Edmondson is leading the NHL in plus minus, but aside from that, not much else.
I'm not a big fan of that stat. He was living off Perry's Petrie. Sorry, he was living off Petrie's hot start. Petrie was scoring goals at a record pace earlier in the year.
I honestly thought, this is my opinion, and people can come at me if you want. You can come at me if you want. Maybe after COVID, but mask on. I thought Petrie was honestly in the running for the Norris.
Yeah,
him and Hedman were back and forth, like, top of the D core.
And you know what? He was finishing at a rate that was unsustainable. But the reality is about Petrie, which is the same reality about Weber, which is the same reality about a lot of the players, is that they're playing them too much. The depth of the Habs, it went away. Injuries have robbed it. But on defense, you're playing Weber too much. You can't play Weber 27 minutes a game in a season where you're playing 16 games in 27 days after COVID break. Like, you're the coach, you're the management. You have to take, these players have too much pride. You have to set them aside and be like, I'm sorry, Shea. We're not going to play you on the power play, and we're going to give you less time 5-on-5. We're going to play Alex more. We're going to bring Mete into the lineup. We're going to play Kulak with Petrie, and they're going to play. And you should rest Petrie. Why is Petrie playing on the penalty kill? You got John Merrill, right? John Merrill's a very good defenseman. Merrill should be on the power play. Edmondson, Merrill, Sherratt, Weber.
Yeah.
And on the power play, take Weber off. As much as I know he's got that missile, I know it, and it's a weapon. It's not working out this year. People, I don't know if you watched the Flames game yesterday, they blocked his shot every single time. Yeah. Have Petrie up there. You got Gustafsson, play him.
Gustafsson has the bullet himself.
On the power play.
You know what? That's the thing, is that I've said this, and you've heard me say this, is that the thing with Weber is that we know he's got a cannon. We know, as Montreal Canadiens and Montreal Canadiens fans, we know he's a cannon. You know who else knows? The 30 other teams know he has a cannon.
Exactly.
So, you know what? They're not not necessarily as afraid as they were in his heyday when he was shooting 105-mile-per-hour slap shots.
And the problem
is still lethal, but
he's not mobile enough to make it lethal, because the reality about like, compare him to someone like Ovechkin, okay? Ovechkin can move around the ice at a quick pace. And if Ovechkin gets the shot and it's blocked, he's capable of making the pass to set up another offensive chance. I love Weber. I do. I love his leadership. I love his stoicness. I like some of the things he brings. And by the way, he's still a plus offensively. I know he's not a great transition and puck moving defenseman, but he puts up points because he has the shot. He's a threat. But he's not offensively. He gets the puck and they cover him. He can't dish it off and he can't move and slide to the open ice. You know, he shoots from the same fucking place every single fucking time. You have to watch one video and you'll know exactly what you just said. All the other teams know where he's not only that he's going to shoot, but where he's going to shoot from. The reason that makes Ovechkin so deceptive is that he can move away from his spot and come back to it, move away from the spot, create space, force the defender to move. If I'm playing defense against Weber, I'm just playing the zone. That's the zone Weber's going to be in. That's the zone Weber's going to shoot in.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you mentioned it about Ovechkin. The thing with Ovechkin, as much as he can go from zone to zone, also he has the support. You know, that's the thing that like Montreal lacks. You know, you have usually in a typical Capitals power play, from what I've seen in years of watching Ovi era Capitals, he'll park himself on the right of the goalie, and then Oshie will be in front of the net, and then Backstrom will be on the other half circle, and then the defense will be Carlson and whomever else they put on the ice, and they can cycle that, and you know that if Ovechkin doesn't shoot, Carlson will shoot, and if Carlson doesn't shoot, or if Ovi shoots on net and the goalie happens to save it, then Oshie can tap in the rebound, or Backstrom will jump in and tap in the rebound.
Yeah, they got more
out. I'm not Gallagher's out, and Gallagher's our guy who parks himself in front of the net.
You're right, and I mean, I'm not comparing the skill level. It's not just Weber's fault that the power play is bad. You know, we can talk about the power play to discuss the coaching, because as excited as we were to have Ducharme come in, because we thought we might get some progressive new age coach strategies and deployment, it hasn't been like that. In fact, he's been more old school than Julien was, which is honestly probably the biggest surprise for me of the season, is that Ducharme comes in and he's sticking with his veterans, you know, and I don't know, maybe he got the word from above and that's the reason why, but I'm speechless. I don't know what else to say, because it's been so frustrating, and it's not even that they're losing, it's the way they're losing. And I understand there's injuries, and I understand the Flames have been their giant, you know, just a puzzle they just can't solve. And it's affected the gameplay. Obviously, they've played them more than any other team in the last 10 games. But listen, these what do they have left? I said 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 games left. The Habs.
I think that's it.
The Flames 1, Sens 1, Jets 1, 10. Oilers 2. So 9. Yeah, 9 games, right?
10. They're 2017 and 9.
Oh, 10. Okay. These last 10 games, you know, 4 of them are against the Leafs, 2 of them are against the Oilers. These are teams that they can play against. They can play their games with them. But they need everything to click. And that's the problem with the Habs, is they become a massive what-if team. Yeah, they're good 5-on-5, except against the Calgary Flames. But and how long have we been saying this, Davey? Way more than a year. Their special teams are lacking.
Yep.
Their goaltending is inconsistent. Their coaching strategy and deployment is questionable. So if the Habs get good goaltending, and they have from Jake Allen more than any other player, but if, you know, Price gets hot too, if they stay healthy, if the veterans, I tweeted this earlier, if the veterans are somehow rested going into the playoffs, if the special teams find some level of consistency and stabilize, you know, as a threat, or just as able to at least stop the threat from a penalty killing way. And, you know, and again, and if the young guys play better, like, we're banking on all these things. If all that happens, look out. The Habs could win the cup. There's just too many ifs, man. Like, if your management style is that you're banking on catching lightning in a bottle, you failed. I want a cohesive plan, and I don't want to just get to the playoffs and see what happens. I don't want that to be the strategy. Maybe we'll catch lightning in the bottle. It's as a fan, it's great. One of my favorite memories as a Hab, and I think you would agree, it was the Halak run of 2010.
One of the best. That was one of the games.
Oh my God, it was some of the most exciting time to be alive in this city for me, as I was in my 20s still, and I was just turning 30, and we were going out every night, and we were just meeting people and building bonds and talking about that. I love it when it happens. But as a knowledgeable fan who wants to be a contender every year, this is not the plan.
No. You know what? That's honestly way too many ifs. By the way, if you guys are looking for it, the word of the day for Z is if. If. But you know what? It's too many inconsistencies, too many things to put on the pressure. Like, there's also, we have to count on the other if. If the other teams above us do poorly and the other teams below us also do poorly, then we have a chance. It's just
yeah,
makes you want to pull out your hair. It's just
All I know is that the Habs control the ifs. They control the ifs of player deployment right now. They can't do anything about injuries. I understand. Okay?
You just hope for quick recoveries for everyone. That's all honestly what we can hope for.
Yes. You can't do anything about getting the young players to play at a more consistent level. There's a reason that they're young players. Young players playing consistently. The Habs, as much as I love their youth, and I think they're going to be I think Kotkaniemi's going to be a good player. I think Suzuki's going to be a good player. I think Romanov's going to be a good player. I think Caulfield, if he comes up, is going to be a good player. If you're 21 and 20 years old and you're playing in the NHL, you're going to be inconsistent. Unless you're McDavid or Crosby or Matthews or, even McKinnon actually struggled after his rookie year. You're going to struggle. So if this is what you banked on, then you have to expect the inconsistencies. So you can't do anything about that. You can't do anything about injuries. You can't do anything about the other teams playing against each other. What you can do is you can play the best players and the best lineup that you have available. And when you're playing Weber 27 minutes a game and you're not playing Kulak and you're not going to play Gustafsson, even though he's defensively, he's a bit of a sieve, but he can help your power play and he can help drive offense at a rate that that Edmondson can't. I'm sorry, but Edmondson, Sherratt, and Weber at this point defensively are redundant. And Romanov, as much as I love him, is a young player. Maybe he could benefit from sitting a few games and allowing Gustafsson and Kulak to get in to see if you can drive some offense, especially when you start playing teams like the Sens, who they're just going to play loosey-goosey anyway. And they just want to score goals, and they're just having fun. I mean, you almost have to get in a shootout with the Sens because the Habs can't. They try to play these games sometimes along the boards, and they get trapped, and they get figured out quickly by these teams who trap them. And I'm frustrated, and it's a good thing you didn't catch me last night, because if I didn't drink so much whiskey and if I didn't turn off the third period, I probably would have thrown my couch out the window. So sorry, if I drank too much whiskey, I should have said. So
you know what?
Too many ifs, man. Too many ifs all over the place. If I just want fucking results, facts, results.
Yes, and now is the time. It's crunch time for the year. 10 games left, and these are the games that we have to play our hardest and try and get as many points as possible, and especially tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is, without a doubt, playoff implications. It has to go our way.
Baby, 10 games left. Tomorrow night, to me, is a must-win. They need 2 points.
Yep.
Then they're going to play the Sens, I think, soon. They got to win that game against the Sens. They need to put the Sens away, win the game, have an easy game where they put up a few goals. And then those 4 games against the Leafs, man, they need to take out of those 8 points, Davey. They can give the Leafs points, overtime points. I don't care, but they need 5 out of those, minimum of 5, preferably 6 out of 8, not just to lock up the playoff spot, because I believe if they do that, they will, if they can beat the Flames and take 6 out of 8 against the Leafs. But also, who are they likely to play in the first round? The Leafs. And you might as well use those 4 games to send the damn message to the team that, hey, we're injured right now, but we're coming into the playoffs, we're going to be healthy, and we're going to be good, and you guys are going to have a fucking fight on your hand. You're not going to roll over the Habs in the first round. That's what I want to see, and that's what I'm expecting to see. And if I don't see it, I'll go to the Bell Center and throw Bergevin out of it. I won't, because he'll kick the shit out of me, but I'll
You've got more muscles than you. No offense, but yeah, it's something to take notice. It's something for, like you said, those 4 games are real statement games against the Leafs. They have to say, hey, look, we're not a team to fuck around. We may be down on our luck in terms of health-wise, but we're going to bounce back, and we're going to be healthy but come playoffs. So that's going to make us even scarier. So
this week, want to see, David. No ifs. I want results. I don't want Maurice tonight. I want the Rocket. That's what I want.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Z and his no ifs, only results. Well, this week will be a real test. We got the Habs playing the Flames on Monday. We got the Leafs on Wednesday, and we got the Jets on Friday. So thanks again, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into our wonderful episode of Shooting the Shit. As always, I want you guys to stay safe, stay healthy, and stay awesome.